Hi guys, welcome to movie theory. Today we're going to be talking about a small indie franchise called Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. They recently released their latest series on a small British news channel that's sort of underground, but I managed to confiscate and legally pirate all the content so that I could come together to get this theory to share with you guys. Um, it's this small. I'll just talk a little about a little. Don't hug me, I'm scared. It's about a little penguin called Duck. He's green. You have this guy, this British guy. He's called a red guy. He's red, and then you have yellow guy. He's like this impudent child. Um, and this show is 6 episodes long, and it's basically about society. Um, Fun. If you didn't know, we live in a society, and this show is basically about that, which is, I think, a pretty brave topic to be talking about. So, in the first episode, it talks about jobs and our preconceived notions of jobs. You need to have a job. Job working is good. You need to work. We live in a capitalist society. Um, we live in a capitalist society, and in Britain, Britain is actually the first society to be capitalist, and so it shows, you have unemployed Brendan, and he's kind of like made fun of as, oh, that's very bad. So it's kind of an introductory episode, and then the second episode is about death and sort of the Western notions around death and the rituals that involve it. And it shows how silly and weird that really is, and how people deal with death in Western society, especially when like the people who are like moons or crying coming, how like kind of like it's like fake people pretend to have known a person who died, you know. It's very deep. Third episode is about family, and how weird it is how we in the West, in society, in a capitalist society, um we live in a society, by the way, but in a Western capitalist British society, we have come up with these things around death, like the family board game and the family traditions, and how weird and weird and animalistic they really are. At the end of the episode, they literally turn into vile animals, showing how they're not really a wholesome family, but instead a vile set of society. I mean, creatures. They're a vile set of creatures. Um, and um, after that's about friendship, and I think the friendship episode is actually very interesting because it shows that we live in a society, and it talks about society and how friendships in society are run. How social media makes us very toxic people who insult each other. But then the worm is kind of showing the opposite side of it. Someone who is genuinely just a toxic bad person, and as a result they don't have friends. But then he's like, oh, I'm actually an eagle, and how like those people are like claiming pity when they shouldn't have it, right? Freelancers should be put to death. I think that says a lot about our society. And so basically, it talks about how in the West, we have the friendships and stuff, and how we perceive each other's friendships. And then the fifth episode is really interesting. This is where it gets interesting, right? And so basically, the red guy takes the rest of the crew out to. He wants to go away because he wants to get out of society. He wants to look what's beyond their comfort zone. And then someone a teacher promises to bring them outside their comfort zone, but in reality, he doesn't take them outside of the house. They're just still in their comfort zone. And it really shows how even if we get taught things, it's like if someone's teaching you about the world from the comfort of your room, never actually having to experience the world. It's very society. And eventually, when they do get out, they get hopelessly lost and abandoned, and then they get magically put back in their place. Deus ex machina. That's what happens to them. And actually, an interesting thing, that's actually something I forgot to talk about in the today's movie theory, in the movie theory, where we discuss society and movies and the impact of societies on movies. I mean, movies on society. And this is a series, but it's also kind of a movie, because a series is just a movie but smaller and in more bits, like tiny chocolate cake. Um, and basically, they get taught all of these things about society, about work, about death, about their family, about friendship, by people who are part of the society, and like the quote unquote normal members of society, who actually turn out to be quite bad and animalistic. And so basically, like, they just yeah, society. And so and it's really not, they're not really getting taught it, they're just getting explained it, so they never really express their own opinions or get learn anything new. In the sixth episode, that comes to light when they talk about electricity, and the electricity person thing is like talking about stuff even though it doesn't make sense. And then yellow guy gets his batteries sorry, switched, and he kind of becomes so smart, but in a way that he understands the world around him and how it's really that fake, and how the people who are supposed to be teaching them, are actually not that credible of teachers. The insurance guy just gets his facts wrong. The mirror, he just walks away from the mirror. Even doesn't He's so disillusioned with the teachers in our society that he just kind of walks away. And when he goes and tries to explore more complex realms, he gets to the big boy room, right? And you first have the big boys and the bigger boys and the biggest boys, right? And they're quote unquote smart, and they think they're really smart, but in actuality they're still living in the confines of their material world and the things that get shown and taught to them, but they're just more com- compl- compl- complicated topics. um, and that shows how they live in a society. And even though they think they're really smart, they figure out electricity and they're doing all these experiments, in reality they're just being cruel, and all their experiments are unnecessary. So eventually yellow guy, now he's smart, he reaches the top of the room. He kind of meets this lady who's like society. No, she doesn't say that, but it's implied. If you read between the lips, read between the, I forgot the saying. This is You're watching movie theory. Drop a like, leave a subscribe. Let's get back to the theory. So basically, so um and then you actually see how she promises to put everything back in its place, and then she'll give him the book of all the knowledge about the world, right? And so so she does that, and it's actually the same thing you see her do in the fifth episode. We just haven't been introduced to her yet. Then she literally like takes them back from their place where they're lost and put into, takes them back to their house, just literally places them back. And she does the same thing here, fixes the issues that are going on, because the electricity went out because they tried to turn the whole house into like an electricity. um and so yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so basically, then they do that, and when they get put back in their place, um yellow guy wants to show the knowledge of the world to the other two, but then they kind of reject it. They put back the old batteries, and he turns dumb again. And they, in a quite literal display, shred the knowledge of the world, about the true reality of the world, and choose to live in the comfort of what they already know, even if that's a false reality. And this is actually something Socrates was talking about in Allegory of the Cave. He was talking about this, about how if the philosopher, um, philo- philosopher came to the world and was like, "Oh, this is the true knowledge," then the people in society would put them to death, because they would be like, "Ah, this is too weird. This is not what we know. Fuck you." And then they, "Oh, I'm sorry for cursing, guys. I'm sorry for cursing. Please, advertisements, please don't, please stay on my video." So anyways, they by the way, you're watching movie theory. Subscribe, leave a super chat, um And so basically, make a comment, and so let's get back to the theory. So then they shred the knowledge of the world, and they do that, and that's how they basically figure out. That's basically the message of the thing, that how about these people who are living in society, and then they get taught lessons by the people in society, but they want to kind of question their society, but they can't because they get taught all the things by the people who don't know anything anyway. And then when they attain um, um, hold up, guys. I'm gonna take a sip of water. So, anyways, so basically, that's what the whole thing is about. That's what it's trying to show. It's trying to challenge your society, and really, think about that. Think about that. Yeah, that's pretty deep. Um, you know, you know me well, guys. I've been on this platform for the last decade or so, and I've come to become a bit of a rival of matpat, and I'd be very interested to see what sort of theory he comes up with, because he's been stealing my ideas lately. I think he's hacked into my Google account or something, because I see his icon on my Google documents where I write my theories. So I've had to write them on paper so that MatPat can find them. So I hope he doesn't find my physical notes this time. I hope he'll fairly compete, in the marketplace of ideas with me here. Um, Anyways, guys, thanks for listening to my theory about Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. It's a really interesting niche series. You should check it out. It's on Fox News. Anyways, guys, that's it for today. Leave a drive. I mean, subscribe. Bye. Thank you to our 4 editors, 2 security guards, manager, business advisor, and the head of advertisements for helping me produce this content. Thanks a lot, guys.